What up, people? What it do? What it do? What it do to you? It's Wednesday, game one of the NBA Finals. I'm John Browner. This is the John Browner Podcast. We got a big show for y'all today. We got a lot to talk about. I got some video I want to show y'all from the Rock and Roll Marathon because I told my dog if he sent it to me, I'll put it out there because whenever you finish an entire marathon, you should be applauded and appreciated because that is psycho. And I did half of it, so I'm half as crazy as you are. So I want to give you shout-outs. I want to talk about the Spurs. I want to talk about the Padres, who apparently just can't beat the Phillies. I want to talk about a couple of other things I want to get to. But first and foremost, for all the people new, if you're just getting in here, I'm John Brown. This is the John Browner Podcast. You can follow me on YouTube, where I would appreciate it if you subscribed. Shout out to all my people over at the Sporting Tribune. Let me get them, drop their bug in here. Over at the Sporting Tribune. Shout out to the people at the Sporting Tribune at night. Had a great conversation again yesterday with Arash McCausey, trying to build that thing up and get that thing off the ground. So if you guys could go over there and like their X page, because this show broadcasts on their X page as well. And so we're bringing this thing together as a partnership. So I'm excited about it. And I want you guys to get excited about it. And we're going to start moving with them as well on a lot of other things. In addition to that, if you want to be a part of the show, you already know what to do. We talk about this every day, but every day is how you got to talk about it. The John Browner Podcast at gmail.com. If you want to say something there or you want to hop over in the comment section where we always go down before we get into any of the nitty-gritty of the show and talk to the people who are here, saying what's up, showing appreciation, showing love. And by the way, our march to 300, it's getting there. I think we're at 360 now. I think we've achieved 360. I checked it yesterday, or maybe it was 359. I don't know. I think we're getting close, but our march to 300 is continuing to roll. So if you are here for the first time, please subscribe to the show. If you're watching it over on X, finish the show first and then head over and subscribe to the YouTube channel with the link in the bio of the X page. So with all that said, let's get down to some business. Let's holler at the people. Let's first and foremost shout out all the people who are here in the comment section because y'all know I love to do that. This guy, early bird gets the worm. I tell him to come in here nice. This is him being nice. The Padres. Okay. Back at it again. I got your video, dog. We're going to play your video. What's good, Coach? Coach. Our segment of Kicking It with Coach. We're going to have to talk about the U.S. World Cup team because the roster got announced. So sometime next week, we're going to do some soccer talk. So shout out to Coach Alex for bringing in the soccer talk, the SDFC chat. We're going to go over a lot of that. We're going to catch y'all up on the SDFC, and we're going to talk about the roster for the U.S. Men's World Cup team, which got announced. And people, I don't know anything about the controversy because he's going to educate us on the players. What else we got here? Shout out, let's go, great friends. They still exist. John Browner Podcast in the building. We up. All right. Buenos dias, everyone. Hump day. You know what that means. Get them, Browner. I always do. Spurs in 5, B-Tom. John Gennaro is going to be a part of the podcast today, so he's going to come around 10:15, and we're going to start breaking down what we think about the NBA Finals. Shout out to my dog, Tito. Let me see what else we got here. Shout out David P. Not scoreless. That will be adjusted in post-production. The Padres did not go scoreless. They scored 2 runs against the Phillies, so I guess that's something. That will get adjusted. They had the header on the show is wrong. But thank you, Graham. I can always count on you. Morning, Margaret. Morning. Shout out to the Wrigley fam. As always, shout out. Y'all listen to the Do Better. If you're on YouTube, please hit the like button. I should do better. You're 100% correct. Hit the like button. Like, share, subscribe. That's what they tell me to tell y'all repeatedly, and so I do that. So before John Gennaro gets here, and also, by the way, the show has a shop. Hit the show shop up. Hit the show shop up, the John Browner Podcast shop. It is on Shopify. If you guys are having a problem finding it, just let me know. Don't worry about the sweaters, even though they're bomb and you always see me wearing one. Buy a t-shirt or something. Now, I'm not going to make y'all look through that whole video. Just know I love y'all. Know y'all love me because y'all here. Let's get to my dog Excuseless. My dog Excuseless.
Well, 14, still holding the same pace. Mile 23, we are going up this fucking freeway still.
First of all, my dog ran that whole thing with a selfie stick. I mean, way to make it harder on yourself. I got you. I respect it. I respect it. Way to run that whole thing with a selfie stick. That's pretty dope. So shout out to you, man. You did that. That's Excuseless. That's a person in our chat. He ran the marathon. We are congratulating one of our friends for running the marathon. What's wrong with you? He ran the marathon. See, this is what I'm talking about. He ran the marathon, Dad. Have some respect, dog. Have some respect. Where's video of you running the marathon? Huh? Dad, listen. You give me a video of you running up a flight of stairs. I promise you I will put it on the show. I'll put it on the show. Okay? The Rock and Roll Marathon is a fan of this show. They were a fan of Kaplan and Crew. They're a partner of Kaplan and Crew. Down the road, hopefully they'll be a partner to this show or the Sporting Tribune. We'll find a way to work another partnership in there. But the people at the Rock and Roll Marathon have been very good to me. They've been very good to our friends at Kaplan and Crew, our brother Scott Kaplan, our brother Alex Padilla. So we always going to big up the Rock and Roll Marathon, dog. Don't come in here and know who is this. That's Excuseless Runner. Running topless at the end. Shout out to him. I'm giving this guy airtime because he ran a marathon, Graham. He ran a marathon, Graham. What's wrong with you? Graham, you send me video of you running a marathon. I will put it on this show. Fair? That's the standard. If you send me a video of you, whoever you are, in the comment section, running a marathon, I will put it on this show. And no, Graham, before you get to that, this is not a marathon show. Okay? Okay? God. Oh, okay. You're talking about dead. All right, my bad. Anyway, let's talk about the San Diego Padres. Again, we got John Gennaro coming up in a couple of minutes, so let's get to the San Diego Padres before we really get on to what we came here for, which is the NBA Finals. This thing is getting out of control. It just is, man. This thing is getting out of control. The Padres' last 10 games have been borderline embarrassing. They've now lost 3 in a row. Let me see. Hold on. I'm trying to make sure where are we at here? Where are we at? Okay. They've now lost 3 in a row. It always takes me a second to find this. They're 6 games back of the Dodgers, but again, we're not worried about that. They're now 500 at home. They've got a -7 differential. They're 3-7 in their last 10. They've lost 3 in a row. This thing is, I don't want to say it's falling apart. I don't want to say that because I don't think that's the case. You got another home run from Gavin Sheets yesterday. When you're watching a roster, you're looking at yesterday's game, you're looking for bright spots. Again, Tatis played well. You got 3 hits out of Tatis. He's now up to 275. Also back at right field yesterday, so that was interesting to see. Our dogs, we wanted to see Song come through and do some. Song 0 for 3, 2 strikeouts, so it looks like that's not really the song that we're going to be playing for the summer, okay? We gave it a shot, and that's not the song we're going to be. That's not the song of the summer. We're going to have to move on. Now, I'm not checking for Jake Cronenworth no time soon. And by the way, have you seen him? That's one hell of a concussion, buddy. That's one hell of a concussion if you still haven't seen Jake Cronenworth. There was also information on Nick Pivetta. I think Nick Pivetta went to I think it was a 50-day deal. They designated him on another injury list. So again, probably ain't gonna see him again. So Padres drop another game to the Phillies. Again, because the totality of the baseball season is so long, you should never really get that worked up over a game unless there's a fight and your manager gets pushed down by the other manager. That's the only time you should really freak out about a regular season baseball game, if there's a brawl of some sort and your guy just gets slobber knocked, or is there some historical mix to that individual game? Outside of that, you can't really be worked up about a game, but it's the totality of games that get put together that you should probably be worked up about. And so at this point, we're really beginning to worry, or we should be, if you haven't already, begin to worry about the Padres' inability to put a lot of runs on the board continuously. They can give it to you in spots, but oftentimes you're not getting more than 4 runs, which is a testament to their pitching staff, which is needed the most work outside of the everyday hitting, the scoring issue. They've been able to keep the lid on most teams, but they can't put runs on the board. If this team could average 5 runs, this record would look massively different. It would look massively different if they could string together. If this team could average 5 runs, hell, average 4 runs. Give me one, I'll give you one back. If this team could average 4 runs, I think we'd be looking at a completely different scenario. But for whatever reason, it's just not clicking, man. It's just not clicking. Manny 0 for 4 yesterday with a strikeout. He's now at 171. Fermin 130. Duran 0.087. I don't even know how to pronounce his batting average. So the struggles run deep. The struggles run across the board. And again, I'm not going to belabor this because it's game. Let me do some quick math. It's game 57. It's game 59. I told you the math was quick. It's game 59. They got 100 more to go. But again, in baseball, there's certain things that we need to pay attention to when they become trends. Things can pop up, things can blip, but when things become trends, like what's happening with Manny Machado's batting average, or what's happening with the team's inability to consistently score enough runs to back the bullpen and to back the starters who are holding the line, these are things that we need to start calling attention to and begin to build up a list about. But the season's so long, it's hard to get worked up over one game. Hell, the season's so long, it's hard to get worked up over 10 games, unless you're 10-0 or 0-10, which they're not. So we talked a lot about Fernando Tatis moving to second and how we think that it helped his play. I think it's helped his play. It was something that I called for to get his feet back in the dirt. He seems to have turned a corner. As you can see, it's up there on the board. He has hit a home run. He has been getting hits. He's been finding holes. He's been getting on base. He's been challenging guys on the base pass. His defense has been good. So that's the bright spot. I told y'all this is the best we're going to get out of Xander. Mason Miller's still the best in the business. I like the manager. AJ Preller always makes moves before the trade deadline to save on the value outside of Juan Soto. So, this roster clearly needs moves. There's not a lot of holes, ironically, because of salary, but we'll see something happen. We'll see something. I mean, Browner, you should bring in Coach Quintero for some baseball talk. Okay. Okay. That came out wrong. That came out way wrong. Hold on. Let me stop. That came out wrong. I am a fan of John Quintero. I've always had great interaction with John Quintero because I don't want this to get back to him in any negative way. But having John Quintero on the show, I don't think it adds to the show. No disrespect to John Quintero at all in any way, shape, or form. John Quintero has had an amazing career covering local San Diego sports. There's no shade here. at all whatsoever. But we kind of do things differently here. So, and by the way, John can not this John. The John coming up can talk about Padres baseball again. No disrespect to John Quintera, at the same speed and knowledge as John Quintera. So there's a lot of Johns floating around here, but John Gennaro can get the job done just about as good as anybody else. So let's bring him in. And if you, he said the same thing. I just read what you wrote. Yeah, man. So look.
It's too many Johns, bro. Too many. We got to change it up. This is why my dad, also named John Gennaro, goes by Johnny, because it's just too many Johns. You got to mix it up. My whole family calls me Jay. They call him Johnny. My grandpa was John. You got to make like you. That's why we call you Browner. Call me Gennaro. True. Call him Coach. We need more nicknames for the Johns.
I guess that's the best way around this whole thing, is to just nickname your way through all the Johns.
You brought me on to talk about this disgusting Padres team. This team is disgusting. This team pisses me off like I have not been pissed off in a long time. Like there are years. Is that a trolley on your hat? You have a trolley Padres hat?
No,
what's on the other side? What's the red thing?
It's a trolley on there. Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah. Shout out to Parks and Normal.
That hat is sick. The last few years of Padres baseball, I was kind of like, ugh, I wish I cared about this team. This year, I care about the San Diego Padres. And for a while, that care was very positive. That care has turned very negative. I'm growing to hate this team. And it is disgusting how bad they are at hitting. It is embarrassing. And to the point that this morning, I literally thought to myself, like, we spent months holding our breath going, is AJ Preller going to get that extension or not? And then he got it, and it was like, hey, AJ Preller extension. I wish they hadn't. I wish they fucking hadn't. Oh, I'm sorry about cursing right off the bat, but God dang.
Get busy. Man. Get busy.
And now we're in this situation where Tatis is the only guy on the team who can hit. He's the only one. This is so bad. I've never seen, like, I spent the early part of the season going, I've never seen a team be as bad at something as the New York Mets are at, like, fielding the baseball. The Padres, I've never, like, it's not a team sport. It's an individual sport. If every guy in your lineup cannot hit, that's a weird thing. Usually, like, half of them are in a slump and half of them are hot. And there's a couple guys that are, like, just right around they're all bad right now except for Tatis. There's this thing that I check on Fangraphs called the roster resource, and what I really like about it is they put it numerically. This is going to be how much I show you my lizard brain. They will tell you where a player ranks amongst all other hitters in baseball and where a pitcher ranks against all other pitchers in baseball. And not only will they show you the season ranking, where they are for this season, they will also show you where their ranking is if you're just looking for the last 7 days. And I keep an eye on this because I'm like, oh, okay, like, people have been saying this guy's bad all year, but for the last week or 2 weeks, he's been good. He's trending up. When Tatis hit that home run, that followed a week of me sending text messages to, like, every Padres fan I know that I chat with regularly going, like, he's going to come out of it soon. You can see all the signs. It's coming. Dude, there are no signs that anyone is coming out of this anytime soon except for Tatis. The rest of them can't hit. None of them can hit. I
would leave Gavin Sheets out of that.
Gavin Sheets overall this season is the 97th best hitter in baseball. That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
In the last week, he ranks 249th. Yes, he was playing well, and now he is in a little bit of a slump. Granted, he hit a home run last night. That's great. Also, I lived in Philly for a while. I've been to that ballpark. It's a joke. Everyone should be hitting home runs at that ballpark.
But they're not.
Bryce Harper hit like a fly ball yesterday that went like 20 rows into center field. That ballpark is a bit of a joke. But, like, we saw this when they went to Colorado, and we're like, maybe they'll hit home runs now. No. They went to Mexico City. Maybe they'll hit home runs now. No. Now they're in Philadelphia. Maybe they'll hit home runs now. Gavin Sheets will, but like the fact that Manny Machado is hitting like a $130 while leading this team in home runs and RBIs is a problem. And like, I feel bad for the new owners, but like they have to come in and they have to solve whatever this mess is, because like the idea that this is just either going to like that they're still going to be in contention come the trade deadline and AJ Preller can just add to the team is almost out the window. Like it's getting close. And then the idea that like just give us a little bit more time and we'll figure this out is like that's also out the window. I'm not buying that anymore.
I think the biggest issue with this team now has become Manny Machado's contract, and every poor at bat he has, that contract seems worse and worse and worse and
Everyone knew the extension was a mistake. Everyone knew.
So it's just that's the biggest thing to me that I take away from what we've seen this season. Outside of the disappearing people, once they get injured on this team, they literally like go into witness protection, and you never ever see them. Is the idea that Manny Machado, he's not hurt. There seems to be no friction in the locker room. There seems to be no friction with the manager. Everything seems to be green grass. And yet he is struggling in a way in his career that he's never struggled before. And you've got, I think it's 6 years left to pay this guy $30+ million going forward. So that to me, the thing that I freak out about the most, because again, it's such a long season and you can't really get that, deep into one game, is the contract that you gave him. It's going to haunt you now because we're out of the steroid era. Guys don't get better as they get older. They get worse again. And so he doesn't strike me as some physical Adonis. He was never some guy who was some freak athlete where you looked at him and went, this is a 5-tool guy. Look how fast he is. Look how strong. He was just a genuinely great baseball player with an amazing glove and a really good at-bat presence. And that seems to have left him. And that's what you paid him for. You didn't pay him for leadership. At first you paid him to come here because no one would take your money. He played well. He represented the team well. He carried the franchise. And then you re-signed him because you gave Xander all that money. And now you're in a situation as to where, what do we do now when this return on that back end of this investment is going to cripple you? So I don't know. But you're not here for that. You're not here for that. I love how you just went off. So I just started. We're here to talk about game one.
Just real quick before game one. Just real quick on Machado.
Knock it out.
And this is how we can connect it a little bit to the NBA. I was watching an interview this morning of Larry Johnson, the former Charlotte Hornets, New York Knicks player, grandmama, Larry Johnson. Yeah. And I was thinking about, like, he had one of my favorite careers ever because he came out of college as like one of the biggest jumpers the NBA has ever seen. That man could fly, and he dunked over everybody despite the fact that he was huge.
Correct.
And then his knees fell apart, and his knees fell apart. And his back fell apart when he was on the Knicks. And he changed his game. He improved his handle and he improved his outside shooting. And he went, look, can I still get to the hoop? Yeah, but I'm not going to be able to dunk over people anymore. So that's going to be my threat. Like, I can drive if I need to. And I'm going to use this space that they give me. And I'm going to become a different type of player. I'm going to become a 3-point shooter. I'm going to become a distributor. I'm going to be someone who can run the offense for the Knicks, which was something we had never seen him do with Charlotte. He was just a playmaker.
Right.
And this is the conundrum they find themselves in. I think what needs to happen for that Manny Machado contract to not be an absolute albatross is he needs to change as a player. And by change as a player, I mean he needs to become focused on the things that he can control, like getting on base. And he needs to stop worrying about the things he can't do anymore, like hit home runs. And he's selling out for home runs. And as a result, he's striking out more than he ever has in his entire career. He's also walking more than he ever has in his entire career. That is a thing he can do. And like, I know even Kevin Acey's been writing like, look, you don't move Manny Machado. He's a legend. He's a Hall of Famer. You don't move him in the lineup. You keep him right there. Do you remember Brian Giles? You remember Brian Giles. Brian Giles, when he came to the San Diego Padres, was a home run hitting outfielder. And he got to the Padres and he lost a little bit of that speed, a little bit of that bat speed, a little bit of that. His back started acting up because he was trying to turn his back too fast. And he became an on-base machine. And he was like, yeah, I'm not going to hit you 30 home runs a year anymore. I'm going to hit you 14, but I'm going to get on base more than anyone else in baseball because that is a thing that I can control. I think they should make Manny Machado like a leadoff hitter or the number 2 hitter and be like, your job is to get on base. Like, your job is not to hit home runs. You know why they can't do that? And it's not because Kevin Acee says, and it's not because his contract is so big. It is because they so desperately need home runs because they get it from nobody else except for a little bit Gavin Sheets, that they can't go to Manny and say, hey, don't worry about home runs anymore. They need him to hit home runs, even though it's one of the things he does terribly now.
You need to, at that size of a contract, you need production from somewhere, shape, or form. I don't give a damn if it is in lead. This idea that you can't move a guy in the lineup because of what you're paying him to be productive, and he's not productive. So wherever you can put him to change his mindset, to raise the value of what you're paying him, that's what people should be focused on, but that's nor here or there. Let's talk about game 1. Let's talk about the NBA Finals. We are here. The Oklahoma City Thunder were defeated by the San Antonio Spurs in 7 games. It turned out to be a good series with a bookend with great games. In between was kind of wishy-washy, but nonetheless, they were still entertaining games for the majority of them. The Knicks got here by playing a bunch of teams, well, 2 teams particularly, one who didn't want to play. I don't know how you don't want to play in the Eastern Conference Finals. And the one before that, Joel Embiid had shot his load against the Celtics, and the Sixers were shot at that point. The Knicks looked like a juggernaut getting here. The Spurs looked like they fought tooth and nail to get here. What do you make of what we might see in game 1 and ideally to play out throughout the series?
Okay, so if I could just real quick pour one out for my homies, the Oklahoma City Thunder. Because a year ago, I was telling everyone, like, watch out. They're going to win every championship for the next, 5 years.
You were one of those people?
I was. And
honestly,
I'm happy they're gone because what I don't want this finals to be about is injuries and flopping, which the series against the Spurs was look who's not here, look who's injured, and it was all about flopping. Oh, who the ref's going to be? That's going to determine if I'm glad that's gone. That being said, the Spurs didn't win by a lot. And I do think Jalen Williams is pretty obviously the second best player on the Thunder.
Also true.
And I think there's a chance that AJ Mitchell is the 3rd best player on the Thunder. And if not, he's probably the 4th best player on the Thunder. So they were missing 2 of their 4 best players for at least half that series. And for all the people that are like, you got to trade Chet, you got to do this, you got to do that. I don't know, man. If they were healthy, I think there's a pretty good chance they win the series. So I just wanted to put that out there and be like, I don't feel like I was necessarily wrong. Had I known what was coming with Wemby, I probably wouldn't have said 5, but I still would have been like, yeah, they're going to win a few. And now I'm not as sure, but I still feel like that's the same quality of team and the same quality of coaching and the same quality of player it was last year. I don't think they got any worse. I think they're still great.
Let me throw this at you because I think that what you said about Chet, and I don't have a problem with anything that you said other than the Chet portion of it.
I knew you were going to hate. I knew we were going to fight about Chet.
When a person steals your soul, your manhood on live television over a 2-week span, you got to go to the Eastern Conference. I don't know what team that looks like. You can get a lot for him. I don't think this is a Giannis level situation because I don't think Giannis is built to play on a team of that magnitude. But he's got to go to the East because he's got to put himself in a situation where I only see that guy one time when it's important, and that's in the championship. And I can muster up some gusto somewhere in my body to at least be aggressive against that man. Because what you saw from Chet Holmgren, I've never seen on an NBA floor before. This was like in high school when you heard so much about a guy, and then they came in the gym and you were beat before the ball was thrown up. Chet Holmgren had no chance because internally, after game 1, his spirit had been sucked out and just blown to pieces. So for me, the only portion of what they have to change is the Chet Holmgren portion, because going forward, you're gonna have to beat the Spurs. And now we cannot do that if we have to depend on Chet Holmgren. And to beat them, you're going to have to depend on Chet Holmgren because you can't bring back Harshenstein, or I like to call him Frankenstein. You can't bring back Lou Dort. And at some point, you're going to get to the space where A.J. Mitchell's going to need to be paid. Cason Wallace is going to need to be paid. Like, you're going to have to start paying some of these guys, and the J-Dub contract and the Chet contract kick in next year. So having the Alex Carusos and the Frankensteins and the A.J., this is where them having all these draft picks will come in handy, but now you're depending on draft picks. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I think you're wrong. Like,
that's fair. That's fine.
They have a team option. They have a team option. Find who?
Chet. Did you find him?
No, but that man is like, this is the thing about the Spurs too. And now we can actually turn to the finals. It's like, this is a team full of 22-year-old dudes. And like, oh man, I meant to look this up. There was a study done a few years ago. It was actually about the NFL, but it was about like the perception of the audience, right? And it was saying that if you do something good or bad on Monday Night Football, for the viewing audience and their perception of you, like, it has 10 times the impact of if you did something during like the game on Sunday. Right. It even had like twice the impact of if you did something on like Sunday Night Football or like Thursday Night Football. But like those island games, there's a larger. And so like whatever happens in these finals, there's going to be people that are like, imagine Wemby has a terrible finals. There's going to be people that are like, man, I thought he was good, but the Knicks figured him out. He's 22 years old. Chet is 24 years old. This man's story is not written. Like, and he is a dude who has come back from like some pretty hard stuff, right?
Oh,
like was he the number 1 pick in the draft and the number 2 pick in the draft?
2.
So he was 2, and then he goes and he breaks his leg at his foot at like, wasn't it like a LeBron camp or something?
He broke his foot in Seattle at Jamal Crawford Pro-Am. He got a Liz Frank fracture in his foot. He ended up missing the entire first year.
Right. That's a hard thing to bounce back from. It's really hard. And so like the first take I saw after Game 7, I think was the right take. They made a comparison to when Dirk Nowitzki won MVP and led the Mavericks to the number 1 seed in the West, and then they lost
in the first round.
They lost in the first round to the 8th seed, to the We Believe Golden State Warriors. And that was because the Warriors could do a thing that the Mavericks couldn't, which was run all the time. But like what happened here with Chet is Chet came up against the fully formed version of himself. Like he's like, I'm a tall dude who can shoot and handle a little bit, and I can defend the hell out of the rim. You know who can do all of those things better than him and is taller than him? Victor Wembanyama. Like, there's just no way around the fact that every time they match up against each other, Wemby's going to be better than him. But what Dirk did after he lost to the Warriors, he disappeared. He went and lived in the Australian outback for like 2 months with his trainer and nobody else. They lived in a van. Like, he taught himself how to play guitar because there was nothing else to do. There was no internet. There was no nothing. And Dirk came back with fire in his belly and an understanding of who he was and who he was not. And like, Chet needs a version of that. Chet needs to go to the Australian outback for 2 months, not hear any of the criticism, and come back and go, it is fine if I am not as good as Victor Wembanyama. All I have to do is be as good as I normally am and not get freaked out around him, and my team wins. If he is a 2010 guy in this series, they win.
Here's the problem with the Chet analogy. Everything you said was accurate. Everything you said was beautifully put together.
Except you were laughing at me.
Because Dirk never faced a human doing this. This was Dirk versus Dirk.
That's what I said. I said the difference was the Warriors did something that he would never be able to do. And I guess that's true. But they were just like, we're switching up the game plan on you. Wemby just showed up and he's like, I'm bigger than you. I'm stronger than you. I'm a better shooter than you. I'm a better dribbler than you. I'm a better rim defender than you. I have a better personality than you. I'm prettier than you are. Like, he went through the whole Ric Flair thing.
And throw one more in there. I'm younger than you.
Yeah.
So this idea that there is something Chet can do to get better than someone who's already better than him that hasn't even scratched the surface of what he can be is preposterous.
Okay, but for this Oklahoma City Thunder team to work with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Jalen Williams and AJ Mitchell, what they really, really need is a tall dude who can defend the rim and shoot threes and spread the floor. That's what they need. There's not a lot of them out there. What are you replacing him with? Like, it's one thing to be like, Chet needs to go to the East. That makes the Thunder significantly worse. Why would they do that?
This is where the draft picks have to come into play. This is where front officing comes into play. There are ways, because the league is outside of Victor and Joker, the league is so small at this point, and it's not physical at all. You can supplement what Chet does with a couple of 6'10" guys. You don't need a 7'2" guy that can protect the rim. You need a couple 6'10" guys who can shoot the three and can defend their position.
You think getting shorter helps them against Wemby? You think being shorter team helps them against Wemby?
Because you're not going to find somebody taller than Wemby.
That's true.
This is the mistake people keep making. They keep expecting somebody tall to be able to stop him. You're only going to be able to out-physical him for now. And that brings me to what I think is going to happen in this series coming with the Knicks. I think the road that the Knicks had to get there was littered with, lesser teams, lesser players.
Nothing.
And so their march to the NBA Finals, they did what you should have done. They blew the doors off their opponents after the Atlanta Hawks. But if you look at what the Hawks were able to do and to win 2 games, one of those games being in Madison Square Garden.
They lost the last game by 50.
They did. But the Knicks were able to figure them out because they didn't have a point guard. They didn't have a rim protector. And they didn't really have somebody to score. They were able to destroy the Cleveland Cavaliers because they had nobody to play defense, and they had a sieve named James Harden Josh Hart was looking at him and going, mwah, 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 lunchtime. That does not exist anywhere in the Spurs lineup. In addition to that, can Cat defend Karl-Anthony Towns? Can Cat defend Wemby? No. Can Jalen Brunson defend Stephen Castle? No. How about Devin Vassell? No. How about, I don't know if they throw Harrison Barnes or Champagnie back in the lineup. No and no. And so the Knicks' strength against these other teams was their ability to play defense and turn the faucet off against these other teams while simultaneously going on these gargantuan runs. You're not going to be able to do that against the Spurs.
Yeah.
These gargantuan, they're going to have some runs because the Knicks are a very good team. And the last time we saw them, they were playing on a string offensively. All that is going to now be disrupted because Stephon Castle is about to get in Jalen Brunson's shirt. Jalen Brunson's still going to get buckets.
This is a great point. This might be the point. It's one thing to be like, well, the Knicks didn't really play anybody when they were going through the playoffs. It's not just that they didn't play anybody. Those defenses were ass.
Atrocious.
And you look at stuff that people were screaming about, wow, Mikal Bridges hasn't missed a shot in a week and a half. That's not going to happen against the Spurs. Landry Shamet hit 94% of his threes for the series. That's not going to happen against the Spurs. It's just not. And Brunson is already giving you as much as Brunson can give you.
Correct.
You cannot depend on Josh Hart to give you more than he has.
Correct.
He might for a game, but you cannot depend on it. Mikal Bridges is not going to shoot like that. Landry Shamet is not going to shoot like that.
Correct.
OG Anunoby is not going to get 5 free dunks a game. He's been getting 5 free. I know he's absolutely going to play. I think OG's one of the.
He's going to play well.
I think he's one of the 30 best players in the NBA. I think he's great, but he's been getting 5 free dunks a game, whether it be off transition or offensive rebounds or what. They're just not going to be there. And so when you look at why Shai struggled games 1 through 6 against the Spurs, and compare it with his regular season numbers, it's so easy to see it. There just was no points for him in the paint. Those points were gone. because Wemby exists. And like, this is the thing I don't know the answer to. Jalen Brunson is a great basketball player, and he's a great shooter, and he's a great dribbler, and he has great footwork. He's got a little bit of a post game for a dude as short as he is, but he needs like 10 points a game in the paint, and I don't know how he's going to get them because Wemby's not a foot taller than him. Wemby's a foot and a half taller than him, and when they both stretch their arms out above their heads, it's probably 3 feet taller. So like, he's just going to be in Wemby's shadow unless he stays outside the 3-point line. And if he stays outside the 3-point line, I don't know how the Knicks generate any offense. So like, as much as I respect all the people who are like, it's going to be really close. It's going to be 7 games. I'm not sure which team I'm going to pick, et cetera, et cetera. Like, you asked me what I think is going to happen tonight. I think the Spurs win by 30. And I think everyone goes, whoa, what the hell was that? This is, look, Wemby, there was a quote from Wemby after the series against the Thunder that I can't stop thinking about. Wemby said, I pushed myself harder than I thought I could. I took myself to levels of exhaustion I didn't know I could get to, and I can't wait to do it again. And that, to me, like, there's a basketball term that I'm going to say that you're going to get that not everyone's going to get, which is leather. That is the leathering of the skin. That is, I don't care if you are beating on me. You cannot wear me down to a point in which I give up. You can wear me down. I'll get tired, but you cannot mentally wear me down. I'm never going to mentally be taken out of this game by you. And physically, good luck, because I'm big and I'm strong. And Mitch Johnson figured out in game 6 and game 7 to play him in short spurts instead of long spurts, because he's 22 years old and he gets his air back, he gets his wind back, he gets his legs back in about 6 minutes. And now he's got 4 days off after playing games night in and night out over and over for 2 weeks. He's got 4 days off, and they got time to just sit around and feel good in their young bodies and study film and all that. Like, I respect the hell out of Mike Brown as a coach. Like, a lot of those players on the Knicks, I think they will eventually make this something of a series. Game 1, to me, I'm just like, I don't know how they come in with any sort of game plan that bothers the Spurs at all.
I think if the Spurs win by 30 tonight, that's the worst thing that could happen for the Spurs.
I think you're right, because then you go to MSG and it's gonna. Yeah, I agree.
After what you've fought through Oklahoma City, you believe you can beat anybody now. Beating the Knicks by more than 10 points tonight is gonna fuck with the psyche of a lot of these young players, because now they're gonna feel like, oh, we got this. This is little light work, and then you're gonna drop one, and then going into Oklahoma, and then going into New York, the basket's still 10 feet high, the court's still 94 feet.
Did you see the Kevin Garnett rant on this though?
I hated that. I
only liked one part of it, and the one part of it was, he said to Wemby, he was like, don't think you're coming and you're playing chess in the park. He's like, you are not welcome to leave your hotel room without hell raining down on you. Really?
Okay. Let me address that. Because I was listening to the Certified podcast, KG Certified. I love that podcast because I love just the raw energy that he speaks with, and what he's done and how he leans his experience into talking to Paul Pierce, who seems high on ecstasy every episode.
24/7.
I mean, what is going on with Paul Pierce? Can I have a piece of that a day in that life? So this idea that Wemby isn't a phenomenon. Victor Wembanyama can go anywhere on the streets of New York. And because the fans of New York, they love basketball. They will give Wemby shit, but there ain't gonna be it ain't gonna be nothing nasty.
Oh, I don't think it's gonna be violent.
This is what I'm saying. So if
he wanted to
go to the park and play chess, he could still do that because it's New York City. There's always something happening.
But there's gonna be people screaming in his ear. They're gonna be screaming in his ear.
And guess what? He's prepared for that. Kevin Garnett was talking about Wemby like he ain't never done anything. Victor Wembanyama just went, and I have to say this out loud for people who already appear to have forgotten. went on in Game 7 on the road against the defending champs and a 2-time MVP who got the award right in front of him.
And a great
Went
crowd.
into his
A
house.
great crowd.
And one of the best crowds in basketball, college and professional. Silenced them in the last 4 minutes of the fourth quarter. Silenced them and walked out with the Western Conference trophy. Left no doubt about who was the better team. Injuries or not. They left no doubt. And now they're going into New York. And this is, and again, I love New York City. I love the real fans of the New York Knicks. The people who watch the games outside, the bing bong people, the people going crazy on the microphone after the game. I love those people. What they're going into is the corporate version of the Knicks fans. Okay? These are people who can afford $500,000 for 2 seats in the second row. These aren't real Knicks fans. These aren't diehard Knicks fans. These are rich corporate people who can now afford to get into the game. That's why
Knicks games are always expensive, though. Not that expensive, but they're always expensive.
Nothing's ever been this expensive, and rightfully so.
Sure.
But at the same time, those people are rich enough to pay their way into cheering. The Knicks fans who will be outside of that arena will be far louder in the second row if they ever had an opportunity to sit in and say, the first bowl is corporate. It's the Super Bowl now in New York. It's not going to be the same energy. And let me remind you, in '99, when they were fired up about it, didn't hurt the Spurs then, did it? So this idea that...
But wait, no. But wait, because I had actually forgotten about this '99 series. I had to go back and be like, how the hell did I forget about this? It's because Patrick Ewing didn't play. Patrick Ewing missed the entire season. He was their best player. He didn't play. Chris Dudley was starting finals games. We all knew what that was. We all knew they were going to get steamrolled.
But the energy in the building didn't change.
Yeah, it did. They didn't have the belief. They were like, we love our team, but they didn't believe it. Have you gone back and looked at the roster of that team? That team was awful. That team was terrible.
Latrell Sprewell, Larry. Yeah. I'm very familiar with the roster.
They knew that team had no chance.
My point being this, and it was a lockout season. My point being this: the idea that the atmosphere, from what KG is saying, the idea that the atmosphere in the arena is going to be undefeatable, I think that's laughable with this particular team.
I agree with that.
And by the way,
because they like being villains, they love shutting up a crowd. No other team during this playoffs has done the shh to a road crowd before. They do it every game, and it's not just one dude. They all do it. They love doing it.
And let me ask you a question. And I'm glad you're here to ask this question too, because you could actually answer this question, but nobody really can. Go down the list of the Knicks finals experience.
Okay. Not Josh Hart, not Mikal Bridges with the Spurs or with the Suns. Mikal Bridges was on the Suns. Did they? They made the finals after he was gone.
Yeah,
no, he was in the finals.
No, he wasn't.
Really?
No, he wasn't.
Landry Shamet.
OG Anunoby.
He won a ring though.
He won a ring, but he wasn't a fixture at the level he's a fixture now. This idea that the Spurs are walking into this old, grizzled veteran Knicks team, the Knicks are in the same position the Spurs are. Harrison Barnes has far more playoff and championship experience than the entire Knicks roster.
Oh, not to mention old oh man, what is his name? What's the backup center's name? The white kid, the guy who jumps and tries to block out the sun.
Luke Cornett.
He won a ring with the Celtics, didn't he?
He did, but I wouldn't count that. I wouldn't count that.
Played
but I hear you. My whole point being, this idea that the Knicks are some grizzled veteran team that's been there and done that, this their first time too. Jalen Brunson ain't never been on this stage. He a cool customer and he gonna be fine. But Karl-Anthony Towns ain't.
We don't know that.
Bridges ain't.
We don't know that Brunson's not gonna like. Here's the other thing: is it's I hate doing this, but it's a little bit of the rest versus rust thing. This is why. All right. I said 30 points. I saw someone in the chat was like 30. It ain't going to be 30. Most it'll be 20.
Shout out to B. Thompson.
Yeah, and that's fine. I I think it'll get that high because I think like halfway through the fourth quarter, the Knicks are going to go like, we're not going to kill ourselves to try. We know it's over. Throw in the back of the bench, and we want to keep everyone fresh. And then after the game, I think the Knicks will go, we got off to a slow start. We were off for so long. It was hard to get back into our rhythms. Our shots weren't going. We know we're a better team than this. We're going to come back and we're going to attack it in game 2. And I think the Spurs will try and do the same thing and be like, yeah, we know that, now they got their rhythm. The third quarter, they've really got going a little bit. And it's like, so I think there's a real chance that game 1 ends up being a big Spurs win where everyone just goes like, well, you can't learn anything from that. The Knicks were just rusty after not playing for a week and a half or however long it's been.
All right, so now I got to set this thing down another 10 minutes because I got a dentist appointment. I know people don't believe I take care of my teeth, but I do. So overall, because I'll have you back in before the series is over. I'll probably try to get you back in after probably game 2. So probably around Monday, I'll probably try to have you back on and kind of talk about what we've seen. But I think tonight is going to be a Spurs win. I don't know about how many, but I think the fact that they just fought through that series and the knives are still sharp. And I think they are also, because they've heard so much about the complacency in the youth, that they are more attentive to it. I think Pop being Yoda in the background will be like, hey, guys, no, you got to stay sharp. So I think game 1, they'll be ready. I think the letdown will probably happen in game 2. But I think the idea of what the Knicks are about to run into, that's what I'm more interested in. I want to see how the Knicks respond to end-to-end physical defense. I want to see how and what the plan is against Wemby from the Knicks' perspective. I know what I'm going to get from the Spurs, believe it or not, because I just watched them go through a gauntlet. I don't know what I'm going to get from the Knicks, and I'm more interested to see what they bring to the table than I have any questions about what the Spurs will bring to the table. What do you think about that?
I think what you are going to get from the Knicks, man, my wife who's a big Knicks fan is going to be mad at me about this. I think what you get from the Knicks is not up to the Knicks. I think the Spurs are in complete control of this situation because
I don't disagree, by the way.
You said earlier, like, can Karl Anthony Towns guard Wemby? If I am Mitch Johnson and Victor Wembanyama and I see Karl Anthony Towns anywhere near the rim,
oh God,
go get him. Go get him. Go get him. Because you put a couple fouls on him, and now you got the 9-fingered man, Mitchell Robinson, coming in.
Who already can't make a free throw.
But like people are like, oh, it's not going to matter because he's not a shooter anyway. He is the best offensive rebounder I've seen maybe in my life. And you know what he does a lot of the times? He just tips that thing up on his fingers. He's bouncing it off his fingers. Now he's going to have a cast, a brace, something on one of his hands. I think it's going to seriously diminish Mitchell Robinson. And it's the NBA Finals, and the Spurs love being villains. You know what Wemby's going to do the first time he sees Mitchell Robinson's hand up in the air? Whack! How's that feel?
Here's something funny. We had a conversation last time you were on the show. I made a joke about Mitchell Robinson getting hurt every other play.
Mm-hmm.
It's only ironic that he's the feature talking point for the Knicks.
He's the only injured player in the whole series.
Right. So I think that you are 100% correct, and I agree with you. I think the Spurs are in full control of this. I think the Spurs are a better team. I think the Spurs have better players. I think the Spurs have the best player on the court. I think the Spurs have the best coach in the series. I think the Spurs are a better organization. I think the Knicks will win 2 games because they will catch fire in one of these games and win a game. And Wemby will play bad in one of these games, and it'll just kind of be like, where did he go? So that's good. I believe those 2 things are going to happen, and the Knicks are going to get 2 games. Will they get a 3rd game because Wemby chooses to clock out of another one of these games? I don't think so. I think this goes 6. I think the Spurs win every home game, and I think it's a respectable series. The Knicks show well, but they also show where they fall short at, and that's being able to guard Victor Wembanyama, and whether it be De'Aaron Fox, who nobody's talking about, by the way, who just rested that high ankle sprain for 3 days, or Stephon Castle or Dylan Harper off the bench. The Knicks don't have the firepower off the bench that the Spurs do. And the Spurs guys are 2-way players, all of them. Deuce McBride ain't guarding nobody. Jose Alvarado ain't scoring on nobody. And Landry Shamet not going to shoot like that. So, we'll see. I'll give you a final word.
No, I have a question for you, and I'll
Okay.
try and keep it concise. Is that like the standard theory that every team has gone through in a series against the Spurs? By the way, the Spurs, outside of when they're playing the Thunder, they win about 95% of the games that Wemby plays in.
Wild.
And this ain't the Thunder. And that's why, like, if you're asking my pick right now, it's Spurs in 5. And I don't even know why it's Spurs in 5, except I think the MSG home crowd is going to light the Knicks up in like game 3, and they'll have a crazy game, and it'll be like, well, like, they won by 3, but it took everything they had.
Right.
The Trailblazers, the Timberwolves, and the Thunder all had 1 to 2 guys that were big bruisers, and their job was to make Wemby feel beat up by the end of the night.
Yep.
Who the hell do the Knicks have that can beat him up without getting into real bad foul trouble that can screw everything up? You can't ask Towns to do it. You can't ask Mitchell Robinson to do it. I don't think that's OG's game. I know it's not Mikal Bridges' game. Like, is Josh Hart going to be trying to throw Wemby around? I don't think he's big enough to do it. So who's the guy that they're going to come in and be like, hey, just make sure he feels it? I don't think they have the guy. I don't think they have Charles Oakley coming in off the bench to make life hard.
They don't have a Harshenstein, who I like to refer to as Frankenstein.
Right. That guy, he was so important.
His only job was to elbow Wemby and grind on Wemby once he crossed half court. That was his only job.
Grab him when he was trying to jump. Hey, if he's going to jump, grab his arms.
Grab him. Whatever he scored was icing on the cake, and that still wasn't enough at the end of the day.
Right.
The Knicks' important defenders on Wemby, if they get into foul trouble, that hurts the Knicks' ability to score. And that's going to be the biggest Achilles heel. If Karl Anthony Towns gets in foul trouble, that's an important player that they need now off the board. If you put OG on him, that's an important player offensively that they need that will now be off the board. I don't think Mitchell Robinson will last long in this series because he's never had to guard somebody that far from the basket continuously. So I think, shockingly, Mitchell Robinson will be the guy played off the floor in this series because once he gets out on the three-point line trying to defend Wemby, he doesn't have that ability. And so as much as there's been so much talk about who they're going to put on Wemby, we are in an era of he's so unique. All you can do is physically pound him. And when you run out of players to do that, you just hope he's tired.
Right.
And I think he has gone past the point of being tired because now these finals games, you get breaks in between them.
That's right.
So, this idea that you're going to wear him down now with guys who aren't tough. Harshenstein made his name playing for the Knicks because he was a physical bruiser. Because they didn't want Cat doing that. That's how he got paid in Oklahoma City. That player doesn't exist. Josh Hart is too small. OG Anunoby, they need him offensively to be productive. So he can't play Wemby as physical as Harshenstein did because he can't run the risk of picking up stupid fouls 30 feet from the basket. So I think the Knicks are in they're in a quagmire defensively of what to do with him because they don't have somebody on this roster that can defend him the way that you need to defend him to truly be successful against him. So I think you might see a 50-pointer from him at some point because once these guys start building up fouls, the Knicks don't have anybody on their bench to guard him. No one. And I mean no one. So after McBride, Shamet, and again, I don't really believe in Robinson against Wemby, but other than that, I love Robinson. There's no one on their bench to answer for what Wemby can do. So I don't see it happening, but I do think the Knicks will win 2 games. Again, I think Wemby's going to check out in one of those games. Hopefully for the Spurs, it's the game where the Knicks get super hot in MSG and make 33s or something like that. But outside of that, man, I don't know. I do not know. I don't know. So
this is why, not to always bring it back to your Knicks, and I know he's a little smaller, but this is why, like, when the Knicks signed Yabusele in the offseason, I was like, that's what they need. They need a third big man who's tough as hell, who you cannot move, who if he gets 6 fouls, you don't really care because he's not a huge part of your game plan. He's just there to make someone like Wemby feel it. And then they traded him to the Bulls. They never even I think he played a little bit with the Knicks, but like hardly at all. And then they traded him to the Bulls. Was he terrible for the Bulls?
He didn't even play. The Bulls were tanking. I could have played for the Bulls last year.
He was getting 25 minutes a game for the Bulls. I mean, he was fine. 10 points a game. But again, even like the Timberwolves had 3 big guys who were all big and strong, and they were like, all of you go beat up Wemby. Whichever one gets in foul trouble plays less. Like they just the Knicks just don't have. I think they don't have the horses. And going into the playoffs, everyone was like, it's the Thunder, the Spurs. No one can compete. And we got convinced that the Knicks can compete because they ran over all these terrible Eastern Conference teams. And at the end of the day, the Eastern Conference, I think, was terrible. And I think we're going to get reminded of that tonight.
I think we will. We'll find out. This is the John Browner Podcast. That's my dog, John Gennaro. I'll be back tomorrow. He'll be back at some point to talk about what we've seen. I got to go and take care of these crooked teeth. I'll holler at y'all tomorrow. Peace.